me to notify you. Okay, I think so. We take the tzitzit in hand, and we join for the Shema. And I'm going to give you this version. We'll sing along with him. This is by Tzvika Peak. His better known now is the father-in-law of Tarantino. It was one of his great songs. Then it goes into a much rockier version. We'll just stick with this now. And we're going to continue reading together the Behafta. We have the tzitzit in hand. We'll continue, chant it together. Behafta. Asher Anochi Mitzavecha Hayom Alev Obecha Shinamtam Levanecha V'dibat Bam V'shivtecha B'veitecha U'v'lecha B'derech V'shachbecha U'mecha U'kshatam Le'od Ayimcha V'ayulet Atfot Bein Einecha U'chtavtam U'zot Beitecha U'visharecha. A little bit abridged, and go ahead to the end of the last reading of the Shema, where we take the tzitzit in hand and we chant as we read. Vayomer Adonai Moshe Lemor Daber el bnei Yisrael Asu lahem tzitzit Akan tevig dehem ledorotam V'natnu tzitzit Akanaf betil techelet, v'lachem letzitzit, uritem oto, u'schartem ekol mitzvot Adonai, v'asitem otam, v'lo tatoru achrei levavchem v'achrei nechem, asher atem zonim achnehem, leman tizkeru, v'asitem ekol mitzvotai, yitem kiroshim lechem, ani Adonai lechem, asher tzeti etchem, me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem lehim, Adonai lechem emet emet. I, the Lord your God, am the true God. God of truth, the God of faithfulness. And we continue to the introduction to the Amida, which is led off by recalling the song of deliverance of the children of Israel as they fled from slavery to freedom at the shores of the Red Sea. So we're on the bottom of page 42. You can see there where the yellow is highlighted. Moshe uvnei Yisrael l'chanu shirah b'simcha rabah v'yamru chulam. Together, mi chamocha elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedor hakodesh, karati lo osefeh shirah chadasha, shemchu geolim l'shemcha, asefat hayam, shirah chadasha, shemchu geolim l'shemcha, asefat hayam. Yachat kulam odu, Yachat kulam odu v'imlecha v'yamru Adonai lo leolam va'ed. So Yisrael, kuma v'ezrat Yisrael, v'lechinu mecha Yehuda v'Yisrael. Go'aleinu Adonai tzima'ot shemo, Kadosh Yisrael. Baruch Adonai Yisrael. Okay. Who's here? Okay. And now, figuratively, we're going to rise, at least in spirit, with the Amidah. So we're going to chant together the opening of the Amidah, at least get the first page of the Amidah together, and some of the Kedusha. And at that point, we'll just take a minute to follow through silently on the Amidah for a minute of meditation and then wrap that up. There we go. Ahead with the first lines. O Lord, open my mouth and my lips shall sing your praise. Adonai sifatai tiftach upi yagid tehilatecha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elahei Avoteinu Elahei Avraham Elahei Yitzchak Elahei Yaakov Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor V'Hanara Elahei Yom Gomel Chasadim Tovim V'Konei Hakol Zocher Chazdei Avot V'Gei B'nei B'Hem L'man Shemo B'Ahava Melech Ozer Moshiach Marki Baruch Adonai Magen Avram Faked Sarah. I'm trying to put in the there we go. Page 48 now. Ata gibor le'maranai mechaviti matar rav Moshiach. Mashiv haruach morid hagashem mechakel chayim bechesed mechayem meitim berachamim rabim tomech nochim berofech olim umatir asurim umekayem gadol ishenei afar Gevurot, Omira Melach, Melech Meimim, Umechayem, Umatzmiach Yeshua, Emon Adar Lechiot Meitim, Baruch Adonai Mechayeh Hameim. And then we continue over to the Kedusha. Now, notice I had a version, the Amidah version had both the fathers and the mothers. I didn't chant it because I'm so used to the patriarchal form. What can I tell you? But it's there.
Me too.
I put it up there. Patriarchs and matriarchs. We continue with the Kedusha. We'll do the opening of the Kedusha, and then I'm going to do the last lines again with the music clip, beautiful music clip. Nekadeshim Chabalam. Keshem Shmakdishim Otebishmei Marom, Karituv Ayad Nevi'echa, Karusel Zevi'ah, together. Kadosh, 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 Aitzeva Haaretz Gevodo. Then the angels come back with their response. Baruch Kevod Adonai, Mimekomo. Then we have the very ending, the Dor Vador, and you can see it here. But with this version, with Mayor Finkelstein, Cantor Finkelstein was a temple Sinai when he went to the Methodist congregation when he was young junior rabbi. Used the text. That's where it is now.
Le Dor Vador, Le Dor Vador, Le Dor Vador.
Now we'll go into just a moment. You can either read it from the screen, standing, sitting, however you feel, and then we're going to wrap up the meeting.
Rabbi, is everybody delayed or just people on the phone?
Oh, you mean that? I don't know. Maybe if there's a delay in the sound, I don't know.
Yeah.
A little delay, yeah.
I'm trying. I don't know if I should sing along with you, and I'll be a few seconds delayed. But that would be just like it is in services.
Yeah, that's it. Till the sound gets to the back benches.
Barbara, could you quietly mumble in Russian just to make it feel real?
Russian.
I couldn't resist.
Hi.
Oh.
Okay. We'll do, what we'll do is afterwards, do all the meditations afterwards. As long as I have you together, we'll do the parts together we can do together. So we got to go to Sid Shalom. And I found this version from Shlomo Carlebach. It's very moving. It's a little different from the one that we have. But that's Carlebach. This is. amicable style. Now, take opportunity. I always want to lead off with a unit of study so that we have an opportunity to say Kaddish also, the Mornis Kaddish, after that, and Joe usually leads that off for us. So our selection is Pirkei Avot. I'm just starting over again. I've been doing it in Shul and Shabbat. Take a few lines each time. And the opening of Pirkei Avot, as you can see on the screen, is in the Hebrew. It says, Moshe Kibel Torah Misinai Masar al Yoshua. Moses received the Torah at Sinai and transmitted to Joshua. And then, as you see, we have a chain of transition: Joshua to the elders, and the elders to the prophets, prophets and men of the great assembly. Now, why do they want to give us a chain of transmission? The idea is that they want to impart the thought that we, as the disciples of the rabbis of rabbinic Judaism, there are other kinds of Judaism. What do I mean by that? There were the Karaites who broke away from the rabbinic tradition and said, you rabbis don't have the authority you claim to have. Or the Sadducees who said, you never started it right to begin with, but they disappeared. And also the Samaritans who said the tradition stopped with basically the book of Joshua. And we continue that tradition. That is our claim as Jews. And so by stating that we have this chain from Moses to Joshua to the elders and the prophets, down to the men of the great assembly, those are the people who reestablished the Jewish authority after the destruction of the temple and the return, that we have an unbroken chain of tradition. And that's what holds us together. And so what was it? The first thing that they said for us was three things. Eve mitunim bedin, be patient in the administration of justice. And I found a very interesting commentary that says, what does that mean? If you have a case that came before you, and it was just like the case that came before you the time before and another time before, do not rush to judgment. Start over as if it's a completely new case, you never heard it before. Investigate it carefully. Raise many disciples. Many disciples. Well, what about good? They're good students, they're bad students. No, many disciples means if there's a lousy student or a great student, doesn't matter. You train them. Good personality, bad personality, it doesn't matter. Your job is to train them. And finally, make a fence around the Torah, siyag la Torah, siyag la Torah, a fence around the Torah. Jewish tradition tried to do what we may call protection around the Torah by creating things like books. On Shabbat, we don't do a certain thing. We then don't do something that leads to it. So thereby, we have a fallback in case we make a mistake on something minor rather than something major. And that's the rabbinic concept there. What they also warned against was, don't go overboard by making too many fences. And they give the example of Adam and Eve. God told Adam, don't eat of the fruit. And he wanted to scare Eve straight, so he said, don't touch the fruit. He added to it, don't touch the fruit. The day you touch the fruit, you'll die. She touched the fruit, nothing happens. So what can happen when I eat it? And we all got in trouble. So that is the rabbinic admonition. Do not make the barrier too big. That is our teaching from Pirkei Avot. We're going to go to the Hadish the Rabbanan. That's at the end of our little prayer book. And it basically is the same as the regular Kaddish, but we have one paragraph added in it. Joe?
Yeah.
Yes.
Alexander?
Yes.
Are you online? Okay.
Yeah,
We're going to do this together. Yit Gadal, V'yit Kadash.
Gadal, Kadash, Meir Rabba.
Go ahead.
Yalma Divra Charutei V'yamlich Malchutei. V'chayechon v'mechon v'chayei b'chol Beis Yisrael b'agala v'zman karim v'imru Amen. Amen. Rabba. Yisborach v'yishtabach v'yispuar v'yislamam v'yisnaseh v'yistadar v'yistalei v'yistalo shumei v'kodisha b'richu v'eilam et kol berachata v'shirata Tushbachata v'nechamata damaram mi'olma v'yimru umay.
Amen.
Yehi shlomo
And now
rabba
we add the Al Yisrael. Al
Yisrael.
Yisrael, V'al Rabbanan, V'al Tamidei Hon, V'al Tamidei Hon, Kol man de'oskim b'oraita, Di v'atrahadein, V'di v'chol atar v'atar, Yehei l'hon l'chon shlomo rabba, China v'chisa rachmin,
Chine v'chis v'rachman v'chaim v'richem v'zoinen. V'filim v'chinam v'chaim v'shon v'chichaim v'tod v'chaim v'chol v'ama v'ayis Yisrael v'chinim v'chigim v'chaim mazim al Yisrael v'chal Yisrael v'imru Amen.
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 Ose shalom b'mrama, Hu yaseh
Hu
shalom
yaseh shalom aleinu v'akol Yisrael v'imru Amen.
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 Thank you. Thank you. And now, going to go back to, we're going to start with the service for the Torah reading. I have even a little Torah scroll for us. And Joe Ben Lula is going to act as my Torah reader. So I'm going to go back up to the introduction of the Torah reading. Come up to page 87. Okay, so you see, I have my Sefer Torah. Okay, I brought it in. I borrowed it from the Iranians. And it opens up a little. Okay, there we go. All right, let's join it together as if we were in the chapel, and starting with the opening. This would do the opening of the service there. Ein k'mocha Elohim Adonai v'ein k'masecha achut kol olamim umemshatecha b'chol dor v'ador Adonai melech Adonai malach Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed Adonai oz lamo yitein Adonai varech eramo v'shalom. And we're just going to go down. To go into Imitzion. Read that on the page. Imitzion Teitzei Torah, Imitzion Teitzei Torah, Udevar Adonai, Mirushalayim, Baruch Shenatan Torah, Torah, Baruch Shenatan Torah, Le'amo Yisrael, B'kedushato. And we're going to go a little bit ahead. Skip the Aramaic and go on to just do the Shema and the Echad together. We pick up the Torah. Got it? Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonai Kadosh Shemo. Gadol Adonai Iti Rema Shema Yachdav. And we'll pretend we're marching around. Lecha Adonai, Agedol, Agevor, Agtiveret, Ve'anetzach, Ve'ahod, Chov Hashamayim U'Va'aretz, Chov Hashamayim U'Va'aretz, Adonai, HaMamlacha, V'mitnaseh L'chol Rosh. Romemo, Adonai Eloheinu, Ve'ishtachavu, Adon Raglav Kadoshu, Romemo, Adonai Eloheinu, Ve'ishtachavu,
The Torah, and they'll parade it around the room.
There we go. Okay.
This one.
This
Yes. It just is. That's God's name, and you can't say it. It's unpronounceable.
Okay. So now
Yeah, that's why that one's hard.
we're coming to our Torah
Yeah, that's the one
portion.
where you're like, it's the weird, like that one, and the other one. That's Adonai.
Now, with the wonders of technology, you see, I have a Hebrew and English text.
There
Let me
it is.
do this side by side. There we go, bilingual layout. So you can see the Hebrew and the English side by side. So we are starting the book of Leviticus by Yikra. And Leviticus meaning that which has to do with the Levites, which is the content of the book, about how the procedures were in the temple. And so its original name in Jewish sources also was Torah Kohanim, the Torah, the teachings of the Kohanim. We use the word Vayikra because it's customary just to recall the book by the first key word. It's easier to remember. So Vayikra. We ask one question about this whole book because almost all of it, at least the first parts of it, let's say that, the first half, is very irrelevant to anybody except for the priests officiating in the temple. Even in the day when the temple stood, who needed to know what the priest did with which offering, what finger went into which part of the blood, where blood was spent, what each offering was, how was it burned, and so on. That's really irrelevant, right? We go in, it's like if you're going to go into a great show, do you really care what the notes are on the musician's desk? Do you really care who's adjusting the sound volume? You don't. You want to hear the beautiful show. So we might have said the same thing for the service in the sanctuary. People walk in. You want to see beautiful service. But the Torah said, no, I want you to know the nuts and bolts behind it. So why would that be? Well, in all religions in antiquity, the elements of worship were private, known only to the priests. Private, only the priest knew what was the right incantation. Only the priest knew what was the right ceremony. That's what we call today monopoly. If I have a monopoly on the line, the pipeline to God, I have power. And so, in all these ancient religions, the core element of the worship was secret, known only to the priests. Even the Pharaoh was dependent on the priest, because the priest knew what nobody else knew. What we have here is the opening line says, speak, or right in line 2, Daber b'nei Yisrael, you speak to the entire people of Israel what the priest is going to be doing. What do I mean by that? That everybody has to be in on this event. Everybody has to know what is happening. What do we call it today when we have professionals, like in the police force? We have a committee to supervise the police, civilian oversight. Basically, what the Torah was telling us was that we want civilian to have oversight over what is done. That means that if you know and you teach the entire people, they are now controlling the priests, making sure the priests are working for the people and not the priests controlling the people. The key element of all the rebellions as we come into modern time, these rebellions that lead to the democratic revolutions all start when the Bible is translated into the popular language from the Latin that only the few priests knew to the early German or the early English. And when people got hold of a copy that they could understand, they said, wait a minute, what you are, as the priest telling me, or is the bishop or cardinal or pope are telling me, is not what it says. And hence the movement for democracy really begins with that. And so we had it first. All right, so now we're not going to study the entire portion because right now there's no sacrifice and it gets very tedious. But we take it the first word, just the first word, which is the word Vayikra. Now, you don't see it on this text, but in a printed Torah text, or maybe some of you know, what happens to the little letter, to the letter Aleph at the end of the word Vayikra? I don't know if any of you know that. of hand. Okay. The aleph is shrunk. It's a small aleph. So we have occasions where we have oversized letters and undersized letters. And they're there to indicate something, which is pay attention. So the rabbis say, Vayikra is God calls to Moses, and then he speaks. And why does he call to Moses before he speaks to him? Well, one very good explanation is, when you're going to get somebody or tell somebody something important, you get his attention first. Beautiful teaching. Moses has to pay attention. First, God calls Moses, Moses. He knows Moses has full attention. Now he starts talking. Right? A lesson for all of us. You start a conversation, hello, before you get into the topic, right? Make sure the other guy is listening. There's another thought in it also. Notice that it starts with the word Vav, the letter Vav, right? We translate Vav as and. And of course, nature of Hebrew and can mean and, it can mean but, it can mean however, it can mean past tense and future tense. Go figure, right? That's the nature of Hebrew. So in this case, commentators said, well, what's the and coming after? Last week's portion is the end of the Torah reading for Exodus, and the sanctuary is set up, and God is inside the sanctuary in behind great clouds, and Moses is outside. How is Moses going to talk to God? So God calls. Now, this is the continuation. Vayikra Elohim. God is inside, calls Moses. Moses, you come now. I want you here with me. Don't be afraid, Moses. Come on in. We'll talk. It's an invitation to talk between God and Moses. That's the sense. Lashon Shibah, the rabbi say, it's a language of affection. He says, Moses, you're my dear friend. You come into me. Don't stay outside in the cold. So he calls. Another interesting thought. Look how much I can chop off out of one word. The word para is call. And the rabbis note that everywhere that God speaks to any of the non-Jews, it is vayaker, without the aleph at the end. Notice that I said the aleph was a small aleph. It's to pay attention. It means to pay attention that there's an aleph there. Vayaker, from the word mikre, which is chance, a happenstance. It happens that God spoke to Bilam. Oh, all of a sudden, God spoke. He was there. It's not the same as when he speaks to his great Moses. It's a different kind of speaking, hence the addition of the aleph. So see where we can parse this in so many ways, right? With the vav, without the vav, with the aleph, without the aleph, right? All that just in the very first word of Vayikra. So with that, let's go into the actual reading, and we're going to be reading verses 1 through 4. We can, let's say, the blessing together. We're not really, well, we don't really have this one in front of us, but at least we'll say the first blessing together. Join in. Baruch hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Hanam Borach Le'olam Moed. Baruch Atar Mecholam. Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Amim V'Natan Lanu et Torato. Baruch Atar Adonai Noten HaTorah. And so, Joe, go ahead.
All right. Amen.
Vayikra.
ויקרא אל משה וידבר אדוני אליו מאוהל מועד לאמור דבר אל בני ישראל ואמרת עליהם אדם כי יקריב מכם קורבן לאדוני מן הבהמה מן הבקר ומן הצאן תקריבו את קורבנכם אם עולה קורבנו מן הבקר זכר תמים יקריבנו אל פתח אוהל מועד יקריב אותו רצונו לפני אדוני ושמח ידו על ראש העולה ונראתו לו לכפר עליו.
Amen. Very good. And then we're just going to go on down to the last line, the Mafter Aliyah for this Shabbat. Line is the end of this 213. chapter 2, verse 13. We're going to wrap up. Go ahead, starting with, I think it was 13,
Okay.
14, 15. Go ahead.
וכל קורבן מנחתך במלח תמלח ולא תשבית מלח ברית אלוהיך מעל מנחתך על קורבנך תקריב מלח ואם תקריב מנחת בכורים לאדוני אביב כלוי באש גרש כמר תקריב את מנחת בכורך ונתת אליה שמן ושמת עליה לבונה מנחה היא, והקטיר הכהן את אזכרתה מגרסה ומן שמנה על כל לבונתה אישה לאדוני.
Amen. Notice, if you look in the English, this tells us why we put salt on our challah. Mekamotzi, is you shall season your every offering of the meal with salt. You shall not omit from your meal offering the salt of your covenant with God. Right? So the salt represents what? Another kind of covenant. So when we put the salt on the
challah,
I'm just looking here to see if we have anything from Rashi about this. Right? Because a covenant was established with the salt. Or you can always go back to it. This is something called sefaria.org. You find your Torah portion, you click on the side, it gives you all the different commentaries from the classic sources. A covenant was established with salt as far back as the 6 days of creation. When the lower waters of the ocean received an assurance, they would be offered on the altar in the form of salt. It also is water in the ceremony of the libation of water on the tabernacle. Notice salt then, great comment from Rashi, that salt is here to remind us that the whole universe is involved in offering of God. The salt, the covenant with the ocean. The ocean too is involved in offerings, not just the plant life and animal life. Right? So the salt from the earth. Lovely commentary from Rashi. All right, let's go ahead then. Our Haftarah, very simple. I'm not going to go read the entire Haftarah, but I have it just so you know. You can look at it here. This is a beautiful thing about this Sefaria from Yeshayahu, who tells us in the beginning, okay, this is the end.
You touch.
Correct line 4321. That's it. Where is it? Read this. There we go. Here we go. We have the book of Leviticus, which says this is what you're going to offer. Isaiah, and he's talking the time after the turn. He says, God's complaining, you forgot to bring me sacrifices. Not because I want a lot, but you're not doing it with emotion and with sensitivity and keeping yourselves personally pure and purified. That basically, morally pure. That basically is the Haftarah. We have those among us who are not well, and we always do Mishaberach prayer. Andrea, you're here. And Andrea prepared us the Mishaberach for us. Andrea, your sister, is it, right? Alison Pretzko is on my list. Before I chant this is the Debbie Friedman version. Anybody, just call out names of people that you want to have in our hearts at this point, where of course we have all those who are ill from the virus now or from any other illness or disease or danger. Let's call out the names now. I see here Allison Pretzko.
Paris Badina.
Dina, go ahead. Yeah.
Wendy Keller.
Wendy Keller. Go ahead. Yeah, think of people that you know.
Vito Gorodischer, Gabi Gorodischer,
Susan Feinberg.
Rachel Aflalo.
Follow. Anyone else?
Rachel
May I go?
Yeah,
It's
Esther
Barbara.
Rachel,
Barbara,
Esther
hi.
Rachel,
Go ahead.
Esther Rachel,
Please.
but
Go ahead, Joe. It's okay.
Esther Rachel Batsiva.
Okay, Barbara, go ahead.
Sharon Lipman.
Okay. Sharon Lipman.
Okay, I'll go.
Yeah.
Leva Batsara. Leva Batsara.
Yeah,
Chana Batsara. Eliyahu Ben Chana.
Ben Chana.
Herb Mormon.
Herb Mormon.
Irina Hustepian. Alex Trebek.
Shoshana.
Shoshana Batsara. Hannah Sarah Leah Bat Rachel. Shimon Meyer Ben Rocco. Hannah Sarah Bat Kyla Alta. Alan Whalen. High Honesty. Esther Gerson. Esther Gerson, I'm sorry.
Yeah, Esther, yeah. Good. Okay.
Sima Harlev.
Sima Halev.
And
Any other names? There we have Rosen on our list, Richard Zeller. Just trying to think of some of the others. Pinchas Petrovsky. And all those that we usually have on our list, we have them in our hearts and minds.
I have one.
Yes.
I have one for little Barbara, Robert Drotal.
Oh, Robert Drotal should stay well. Yeah. Very good, thank you. So for everyone, I'm now Andrea. Are you there?
Yes.
Andrea?
Hi.
All right. Do you want to sing it or shall I play the clip for you?
No, we can play the clip.
All right, here we go.
Beiro
I'm just going to back to all right, go.
Mishe Beiro Avotenu Mekor HaBracha Limotenu. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mishe Beirach Imotenu Mikor HaBracha Lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
Thank you. And thank you for the lovely artwork there.
Andrea? Did you
Beautiful.
Beautiful. Beautiful recording.
Okay. And now, we always engage in a prayer for our country and a prayer for the people of Israel. And I didn't have a typed version of the prayer for the country, but I found this one, which is a classic. It was a version that you sang this in World War II. A couple of our soldiers, mostly killed.
God bless America.
Um,
All right, sorry.
And I love the mountains to the prairies to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
That was, I believe it's Irving Berlin who put it together.
So it's Jewish music.
Huh?
It's
Yes.
Jewish music.
Sung by Kate Smith.
Kate Smith, right. It was,
Yeah.
it was to say she kept everybody afloat during World War II. And now for the people of Israel, in the state of Israel, we join in our prayers. They pulled together a unity government. We hope it lasts long enough to help them. They're taking probably the most drastic action of any of the countries. They've got thousands that have been hit. So far, only about 10 or 12 have actually passed on. So if anybody is going to be set, they'd probably be better set than most countries. But a million Israelis are unemployed right now. So it's going to take them a tremendous effort to rebuild the economy after all this. So we pray for the people of Israel also.
Avinu, Avinu, שבשמיים, צור ישראל וגואלו. אבינו, אבינו, שבשמיים, צור ישראל וגואלו. ברך ברך את מדינת ישראל, ראשית צמיחת גאולתנו, הגן עליה בעזרת חסדך, ופרוס עליה סוכת שלומך. אבינו, אבינו, שבשמיים, צור ישראל וגואלו. אבינו, אבינו, שבשמיים, צור ישראל וגואלו. ושלח אורך ועמי איתך לראשיה, שריה ויועציה, ויועציה Avinu, Avinu, שבשמיים, צור ישראל גואלו. אבינו, אבינו, שבשמיים, צור ישראל חזק, 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 חזק את ידי מגיני ארץ קודשנו. והארכי להם אלוקינו ישועה. ועטרת ניצחון חזק, חזק, חזק את ידי מגיני ארץ קודשנו. חזק את ידי מגיני ארץ קודשנו. ועטרת ניצחון תעטרם, תעטרם. ונתת שלום, שלום בארץ, ושמחת עולם ליושביה. אבינו, אבינו, שבשמיים, צור ישראל גואלו.
It was very powerful, moving. Avinu Malkeinu for the people of Israel. And now, I'm going to wrap up our service, return the Torah to the ark. We're going to join in Hallelujah together, as if I'm taking my Torah back, bring it back into my ark, my invisible ark. Let's join in Hallelujah. Shem Adonai, Kines Gav Shemo Levado, Odo Aleretz V'Shamayim Vayaren Keren Le'amot Tehila Alecho Chasidam Livnei Yisrael Am Kerobo Hallelujah Hallelujah. And we continue, going to join in returning the Ark to the Torah. It's Chaimi. This version, and you can join in, follow it along. He's got to get his record player set up. So you know it's an old version.
Eitz Chaim hi Lama Chazikim ba V'samcheha meyusha Eitz Chaim hi Lama Chazikim ba
And now we're going to wrap up. So it's going to Enke Eloheinu. We haven't done it for a long time. It's
Enke Eloheinu, Enke Adonenu, Enke Malkeinu, Enke Moshiachenu, non como vuestro Dios, non como vuestro Señor, non como vuestro Rey, non como vuestro Salvador. Mi Eloheinu, mi Adonenu, mi Malkeinu, mi Moshiachenu, ¿quién como vuestro Dios? ¿Quién como vuestro Señor? ¿Quién como vuestro Rey? ¿Quién como vuestro Salvador? No del Eloheinu, no del Adonai, no del Malkeinu, no del Moshiachenu. Lo haremos a nuestro Dios, lo haremos a nuestro Señor, lo haremos a nuestro Rey, lo haremos a nuestro Salvador. Baruch Eloheinu, Baruch Adoneinu, Baruch Malkeinu. Bendito nuestro Dios, bendito nuestro Señor, bendito nuestro Rey, bendito nuestro Salvador. Atahu Eloheinu, Atahu Adoneinu, Atahu Adoneinu, Atahu Moshiachenu. Tú sos nuestro Dios, tú sos nuestro Señor, tú sos nuestro Rey, tú sos nuestro Salvador. Atahu Shektiru, Avoteinu, Lefanecha, Eketoret Asamim, la 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la.
Okay. So if you couldn't follow the Spanish, you can follow the Hebrew. All right? Let's continue.
Visual trigger.
Go ahead. We go ahead with Aleinu, wrap up our service. Aleinu l'shabeach ladon hakol, l'teikru l'yotzeir b'shit, shelo samigei haratzon, v'lo samanu mishpachot adama, shelo samchekenu kahem, v'goralenu kecho hamonam, אנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. And now vigorously, נוטה שמיים ויוסד הארץ, משה יקרא בשמיים ושכינת זו בגבי מרחמים ואלוהינו אין עוד ממלכנו ופסולתו ככתוב בתורתו היום ואשרת לבבך היא אדוני אלוהים בשמיים ועל הארץ מתחתינו. And we're going down to the last, it's not in here, but we know it by heart. Emar v'haya Adonai melech ha'aretz v'yom ha'u yeh Adonai echad u'shemo echad. And now we go to Mornis Kaddish. Anybody have any names of people they want us to announce passed away in the last year or whose yard set is coming up?
Moises Cooperwasser.
Moises Cooperwasser.
Freddie Petsko.
Freddie Hutko.
Bonnie Schwab.
That's good.
Bonnie Schwab.
No, I understand that now.
Okay, and all
Mark.
those. Mark?
Yeah, Mark, Michael, and Roger.
Mark, Michael, and Roger. Okay, and so, and all those that we have in our hearts, that whether we call them names or not, who are on our memorial boards in the synagogue, all of them, those are reciting the morning Kaddish. Recite with me. Yitkadal, Yikadash Shemei Rabbah, Bi'alma Divrach Yirutei, Bi'amlich Malchutei, B'chayachon, U'v'yamechon V'chayei, L'chol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agalav Zman Karev Yimru Amen.
Amen.
Yehei Shmei Rabbah Mevorach Olam Olomei Maya, Yivarach V'yishtabach, V'yipa'ar V'yitamam V'yitnasei, V'yitadar V'yitalev V'yithalach Shmei L'kucha Berichu, Le'elah Min Kol Birchata V'shirata, Dush B'chata V'nechamata, Daviam V'yalma V'yimru Amen. Just move down this one. Yehei Shlomo Rabbah Min Shemaya, Chaim Aleinu V'Arkoyse V'Romein.
Amen.
Ose Shalom B'Mama. Huya Shalom Aleinu V'Arkoyse V'Mru. Amen.
Amen.
Okay. And now, here's what I want to do. I said I would do open mic rather than a formal discussion. So we're going to sing Adon Olam, and then I'm going to close the share screen so we can see everybody on the screen together, and then question for a few minutes. That's right, Barbara? Barbara Mormon asked for that. Okay, and Barbara Mormon asked for Adon Olam to the melody of Scarborough Fair. So I can't pass it up. I have 4 different versions here, including one from Disney's Small World, one from Mozart and Company, but this is for you, Barbara. Here we go. All together. Okay, now we're going back to full screen. That's it. So now I can see we had about 18 people on the call altogether, which was very nice.
Wow.
And I said we do an open mic, stump the rabbi type session. So I just wanted to, an interesting thought to share. Last week, our reading was what's called a Chodesh for the new month, because we started the month of Nisan, the month of Pesach falls in. And right in chapter 12, verse 13, it talks about putting sign of blood over the houses, stay inside your house, so that, and the use of the word mashchit negef. Negef is a plague, and the modern Hebrew word for the virus is nagif. So what were they telling us? When there is a destroy outside, stay home, stay put outside. I don't know if they had this in mind, but it's general good advice. Any questions? Stump the rabbi. Raise you.
Rabbi, this is Barbara.
That's it.
And it's not a funny question, though. It's a somber question.
That's okay.
And forgive me if I get emotional. Do you think, I know some of you may think this is ridiculous, but do you think that it's possible that God is angry at the way the world is handling everything, and he's doing this to us for punishment?
You know, I've seen that. I've seen that kind of thinking. It's very common. It's very good. Jewish thinking, Muslim thinking, Christian thinking. You know, when things go bad, it is, and they tell us this is a sign that we should take a look and examine our actions and our thoughts in our hearts. Could we see this as God's punishment? I hate to think of God working this way. Certainly, biblically, it was that way. Certainly seen that way. I'd rather to think that this is the real world, and the real world has disease, it has war, it has earthquakes, it has lots of troubles, and that we are partners in God's creation. That when these happen, it's our job to see how do we take care so that as few are damaged as possible, and that the next round goes better. It is still not yet the plague of 1918. It's certainly not the Black Death of Europe, where 1/3 of Europe was wiped out. It's not the smallpox that wiped out almost all of the Native Americans, right? So we do have to keep it in proportion. Probably the bigger damage we know is going to be the world economy and the disruption, the poverty, the starvation that may ensue. These are probably the bigger problems we're going to have to deal with. I did see one thing, which was from another rabbi, a rather nice video. And he said, it's not really a punishment. It is, unfortunately, a stop sign for us, a very drastic stop sign, which is to say, now that you don't have to rush to the office and rush to your factories or wherever you have to rush to, take the opportunity to reflect, to sit back, reconnect, even if it's long distance, unwind somewhat before we go back to the real world. I'd rather take that perspective than the one that says, you know, God is threatening us with another flood. I think is the better perspective. But Barbara, it's a very important question. Yeah, I see Shlomo Sterling.
Yeah, nice to see you. I do have a question. That prayer for Israel was really, really beautiful. And I was wondering if that's like somewhere in the Nusach of the conservative Siddur, because I didn't see it. I looked for it.
It is. It's in Siddur Shalom. It's not the full text. It's because that is the official text of the Israeli rabbinate. So I think that what we have in the conservative Siddur is the core text has been abbreviated a little bit.
Oh, okay. Abbreviated.
I think so, yeah.
It's in English. No, it's not in Hebrew.
It's the Hebrew, and then there's just the English translation.
I didn't see
this particular version that I picked up online didn't have everything. You had only a selection of key elements of the pseudo Sim Shalom. He did a very nice job. He took the Reform Gates of Prayer. He took the art scroll also and pulled this together. By the way, with the videos, yeah, I'm going to ask everybody. I'd love to share other music that's appropriate for Shabbat morning service. So if you have a chance, scour the internet and find music clips or video clips. Send me the links and I'll see where I can incorporate. I have much more material. There's popular, there's folk, there's Sephardic, I have some heavy cantorial pieces also. You know, and I want to be able to mix different selection each time.
I saw you had, Rabbi, I saw you had some stuff from Ozzy Schwartz.
Yeah. He's at Park Avenue Synagogue.
Yeah.
Beautiful stuff there, yeah.
Beautiful stuff there. He's innovative yet traditional.
Yeah, I can put that in. Yeah, it's a very nice mix. There were some classics that I have also, like the Lewandowski Matov. Those of you who grew up in the days before Karlibach took over Jewish music, that was the big classic. Right, that's it. With the full choir. Yeah, Andrea. I see.
Oh, right, unmute. Okay, so this might be a very dumb question, and it might also just be a question of different interpretations, but it's something that has long bothered me. So I read the Bible from a less literal point of view. The rabbi that I had growing up used to tell us we take the Torah seriously, not literally, and that's just my personal.
It's a big difference, right?
Yeah, my personal vantage point. So I have this great book, it's on my bookshelf over here somewhere, about how the Torah itself came together piece by piece, portion by portion, through the different authors and the different revisions. And it has always bothered me that there are two creation stories.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
And then, you know, you meet people who are creationists and they're like, great, I actually met someone recently who's a creationist and I'm not sure how to interact with this person. You know, so okay, that's cool. You believe in the 7 days of creation, but what about the other creation story? Is that one not as legitimate? This has always bothered me.
Yeah, no, that's chapter 2. It all pops in at once. When the human being is created, everything else comes into being. Right, quite the opposite. Yeah, and you know, from a Jewish point of view, it's easier because we can. With any word in Hebrew, it means what it means, and it means the opposite. And that allows us a lot of leeway.
Wait, so you're saying the 7 days come first and then Adam and Eve?
Well, you see, if you follow chapter 1, it's 6 days of physical creation, and Adam and Eve are the pinnacle of the creation at the end. In version 2, whoever is teaching us version 2 says, I want you to, here's where I put the difference between the two. The first one is a philosopher, and the second one is a psychologist. And the psychologist is talking about the creation of the human being from the perspective of knowledge, understanding of the human being, and of dealing with moral issues. So chapter 2 is designed to look at that. Chapter 1 is designed to look at the philosophical perspective. The two are trying to get at the same point.
But they're clearly not compatible. It's either this story or this story, right?
This and this. That's Jewish thinking. Yes. 1 and 1 is 2, but it's 3 if you have the right accountant. Yeah, go ahead, Slava.
I was just thinking about your question, and there is the Rashi who explains, and he brings down a midrash on this, and I like the creative solution. He says, if I'm right, Rabbi, you can correct me, that when the first round of the story, Adam and Eve were created together, so as if back to back. And the second version of the story is where they were separated. And in that way, it resolves the contradiction between the two stories.
Right. Rashi also has another important point, and that is on the very first word of Breshit, he raises a problem in grammar. So,
Zacher
Breshit.
v'nekeva,
Huh?
Zacher v'nekeva.
No, even before that, the very first word, Breshit, he says that word Breshit is grammatically incorrect. Why would you pick a grammatically incorrect word? And he says, we translate it as in the beginning, God created heaven and earth.
In the beginning.
And that is the general popular translation. But Rashi says, no, that's not the correct translation. Because technically it is what we call a construct form, in the beginning of. And when you say in the beginning of, you have a preposition. Preposition must have a subject of the preposition, the object of the preposition. There's no object of the preposition. So Rashi says, when you have something like that that is grammatically incorrect, why is it there? It's there to teach us a separate lesson. What's the separate lesson? Which is, this is not in the beginning of the creation. This is not the history of the creation of the world. And he gives a grammatic proof. He says, you had to say Berishona, or Bereshit Briat Haolam.
Right, yeah.
And therefore, Rashi goes on and says, it's here to tell us other counts, other ideas, other theories, and that the order of creation is actually irrelevant to what the Bible is about. And Rashi does mess with the whole idea of historicity in the Bible, because then he says, "En mukdam u'meuchar b'mikra." There's no beginning and end in the biblical account. Things are placed here, things are placed there. They're placed there for pedagogical reasons and not for chronological reasons.
And that makes sense with the grammatical error, because if you say in the beginning of nothingness, there's nothing. It's
right. So
given
something is missing.
to even put a word on.
Right. So something is missing. And so then he goes into, and it comes up with several midrashim, but the final one he says is, it's really there to prove that God created the world. And if God created the world, he also gave us a land of Israel. It's his choice to give us a land of Israel. So why would Rashi have said that? They ask. That's a weird choice. And then I realized Rashi's writing around the middle of the year 1000, something 1040, something like that. The Crusades are beginning. And so in his world, the Christians and the Muslims are fighting over what? Over the land of Israel. And Rashi suddenly remembers, hey, we're Zionists. And they're fighting, it's ours. That's his take, right? It has nothing to do with what's in creation. He's giving an example of how you use that to come up with another thought, a new idea. Anybody else? Marcelo.
I think that today's Parsha has some relation of today. The reason being, if you have committed some kind of, not transgression, but some kind of act that is maybe not proper, and you have done it without even knowledge, and now it's an opportunity to acknowledge that, then somehow it's not that you can repent, but you can think about how to change. So it somehow provides the opportunity for us to change whatever we thought we have not done properly. So this is somehow equivalent to the sacrifice at that time.
That's a very good point.
And asking some kind of forgiveness from God.
That's a very good point. Yeah, it's a time to, and a lot of these offerings are for careless acts, mindless acts. Just think of it, before we were told to step back, and we were just getting the word of the disease coming out. So, okay, we said, well, I'll go out still, it's okay. And people are going out even after they may have had symptoms and not thinking that they might be spreading it, or people who've been next to somebody who had it and they don't have any symptoms, so they feel fine to walk out, but right, unknowingly, right? So there are things that we do that damage unknowingly. And so we do want to be aware of it. So we want to look at our actions, right? it's different from intentionally going out and poisoning everybody, but we want to get that off our chest. Very much so. Okay. I see here, I have a Barbara P. And you welcome to you. Where are you living? Where do you live?
Can I talk over the phone? I'm watching
Sure, yeah,
you.
I hear you. Uh-huh.
Okay, because my audio did not work on my computer, so I dialed in and
Good.
listening through my phone, but watching you on my computer screen. That's why I muted myself.
Very good.
I am
Good.
actually Andrea's mother.
Oh, you're Andrew's mother. Oh, okay. Hi,
So I
Andrea.
am out
Hi,
here
Mother.
in New Jersey, and it was lovely that you started at 10:30 because that gave me a lot of time to get done because I am 3 hours later.
Yeah, good. So you have more snooze time. Very good. You can have lunch already.
And totally enjoyed the service, and I appreciate all the research you put into finding all these different clips.
Okay, good.
And how they all flowed. And I really enjoyed God Bless America by Kate Smith because
Good. Yeah, very good.
I really like that. So thank you so much for doing this.
Okay. Now, Andrea, you're able to keep an eye on your mother long
Yep.
distance.
Keep her out of trouble.
Good. All right. So listen, if that's it, then no other questions. We're going to say Shabbat Shalom. Carmen, where are the bagels and the lox and the scrambled eggs?
Oh, what I would do for a bagel right now.
Right.
Rabbi,
Yeah.
I would like to add today some kind of a special coincidence. My older son has a birthday today, and my father has a yard site at the same day. So it's a happy and sad day for me.
Okay, so it would say Mazel Tov on the good, and our thoughts with you for the sad.
Thank you.
So to everybody, Shabbat Shalom, and
Shabbat Shalom.
this is
Rabbi?
yeah. One more.
No, I just
Okay.
said thank you.
Shabbat Shalom.
All right, everybody. Shabbat Shalom. I'm waving.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you.
Should appear on YouTube eventually, and I'll let everybody know. And then next week, same time, same station. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Shalom.
Thank you, Rabbi. Shabbat
Bye.
Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.